There is a guy named Bryan Drake who is like a magician. He's an illusionist. And his whole thing is he performs like at school assemblies. The idea, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you can get a job doing what you love, more power to you. But this guy basically markets himself as a guy who can go to your school, do a performance, uh, give kids a good message while he's doing the performance. You know, I'm sure you all went to assemblies like that when you went to school. Like, here's someone talking about why you shouldn't do drugs, and they're really funny, or they're acrobats, or they're doing something to get your attention. And then in the process, they tell you why you shouldn't do that one really bad thing. So that's what this guy is, Bryan Drake. And if the problem is, if you go to his website, he's very clear about the message he wants to send. All right. So he and his wife are the act. And it says here, the Bryan Drake Show is driven by one clear and overriding passion: to share the gospel with this generation. Bryan and Carla Drake have performed for hundreds of thousands of people over the past 10 years. They have witnessed the amazing grace of God firsthand, as thousands of people at their shows have surrendered their lives to follow Jesus. Which, by the way, that last phrase, that would be disturbing if it was in any context outside of religion, but I think we're just used to it because it is about Jesus. But don't say all these people that come to my shows have surrendered their lives to this thing I care about. It's a creepy ass thing to say. Now, look, there are so many churches out there, and I've heard this from, people like Taylor Tomlinson and stuff like that. If you're, let's say, a stand-up comedian, you can actually make a living if you're a good comedian on the church circuit. So you get paid by churches to entertain the crowd, and the church can say, hey, we have a comedian. It's a fundraiser. Give us money to come to the door. That allows us to pay the performer. And also it's a fundraiser for the church. And like, they can get away with doing this. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what this guy does as well. He performs for schools, but he also performs for churches. So this is not weird. This has been happening for a really long time. People like him. Nothing wrong with any of that. The thing that I wanted to bring up is, why did a high school in South Carolina invite this guy to perform? Because recently Bryan Drake was invited to do his show at Socastee High School in the city of Conway, South Carolina. And the reason I say that is, even if this guy did a secular presentation, the public school officials had to know this guy is a Christian first and an illusionist second, right? Like, if you look online, there are pictures of this guy performing. Check this out right here. Like, here he is performing at a public high school. This is not the same one that I was just referring to, but he does shows at high schools. But if you go to his website, he makes clear what he's all about. I don't get it. So the Freedom from Religion Foundation heard that this show was about to happen. So they sent a letter to the school district saying, hey, we heard you invited this guy to your place, and we're a little worried about that. And this is what they pointed out in their letter here. Yeah, here we go. A concerned district employee has reported that on October 30th, Drake will be allowed to perform for students at an assembly held during the school day. We write to ask that the district cancel this presentation immediately and cease allowing Christian evangelizers to target its students. And if you are going to let this event occur, you have to ensure that Drake does not proselytize, discuss religion, or use the event to invite students to a more explicitly religious event held outside of the school. And let's talk about that for a second, because this is the trick that has been used for years and years by Christian performers. They will say, okay, I do a secular performance for the assembly. But during that assembly, they'll say, hey, kids, did you like my magic show? Because if you did, guess what? I'm going to do it again tonight, and it's free, and you could bring your parents, and I want you to bring your friends, and it's going to be held either at the school, we're renting out the space, or at a local church or something like that. And at that performance, when they have the audience there, they say, now that we have you in your seats, we want you all to come to Jesus. And so, again, if they were just doing that at a church, I don't care. If they were just doing a secular performance at the secular public school, would not care. The thing FFRF pointed out is this guy going to use the daytime assembly to promote a religious conversion performance at night? Because they knew that was going to happen. And they also asked the school, they filed an open records request We want to know all the communication you had with this guy, because how do you not know this is exactly what he's going to do? So guess what happened? This guy did his show on October 30th, and this is a picture FFRF managed to get. Here he is, Bryan Drake, and he's promoting his ministry, Ground Zero. And in the process of doing that, he was encouraging all of them to come to his evening event so he could convert them. That's totally what he was doing, right? According to FFRF, and they posted this on their website later, Drake used the event to promote Ground Zero, his religious ministry. He repeatedly directed students to come to this religious event, handed out tickets to students. Religious representatives from Ground Zero were at the school during the assembly, and at the off-campus event, he tried to convert kids and deliver a clear presentation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Like, this is the sort of bait and switch that conservative Christians, and never anybody else, it's always them, they can get away with it, especially in conservative areas. Like, and if it's not an illusionist, it's someone who's telling kids not to do drugs, but he's sneaking in a religious alternative. Don't do drugs, kids. Do Jesus. Or maybe it's someone who comes to talk about sex education, but it's someone from a religious ministry who tells them abstinence is the only way forward, and that if you do anything sexual, you are like a glass of water that's been spit in by everyone in this room and no one will want to drink it. More on that next week. So look, you can vet these people. Other guest speakers are always vetted to make sure they're not doing anything they shouldn't be doing. I wonder how this guy was vetted, because this guy knows that as soon as he's in the door, he's going to be able to try to convert them. And you know how I know that? He's bragged about it online for years. This is a picture from Facebook I found. This is from 2019. Check this out. Our school assemblies, he says, are 100% public school friendly by design. We have a passion for reaching communities through the schools. We always want to point the students to a nighttime event where we can share the gospel with them. We never want to do just a show. We wouldn't travel with our kids if it was just about performing and entertaining. Like, he's admitting it right there. The only reason he wants to get in public schools is so he can lure the kids to his white van at night where he can throw baptismal water on them or something. I swear, if this was anything other than Christianity we were talking about, and someone was saying, yeah, I talk to kids during the school day, but don't worry, I invite them to come back at night so that I can get them. That would not be okay in any other context, and somehow it's okay when he's a Christian. They let you do it when you like Jesus. He did it more recently too. This is from 2023, where he says the same thing. We have 100% public school friendly assembly, and then at the bottom, typically after our assemblies, a local church hosts an event with us where they invite their community. We do another mind-blowing show. Then we get the opportunity to share the rest of the story. Yes, we live in a beat-up, broken world, and here's why. And like, again, he's admitting it over and over. What did he tell the school he was going to do? How did they not know he was going to do this? I mean, it's so creepy. Now, here's the thing. I don't know that there's anything FFRF can really do about this, because you know how the response is going to go. The district is going to say, listen, we didn't know he was going to invite kids to the nighttime event, because lying is something they're allowed to get away with. And again, these people were not directly converting kids during the school day. They were just luring them in. There's some plausible deniability built in there. And that's why they wait till night to target them with precision. I guess the best thing for FFRF to do about this stuff is just let people know this is happening, so you, as parents, as students, can be on the lookout for this. You should know who's speaking to you, where they're coming from, what their motives are, right? So, I mean, parents have every right to complain if this is what their local public schools are doing, if they're inviting people who don't actually have educational content, but just want the gig in order to score more tally marks for Jesus. Parents have a right to know that that's going on. And the thing is, there are so many secular options for people you can invite to spread a message in a compelling way, or to teach sex ed, or whatever it is. There are plenty of good options. They didn't have to go to this guy. So the question is, why did they go to this guy? And it's probably because they value preaching more than teaching.